Some people ask a simple question, almost casually. Why don't you get a tattoo? They expect a simple answer. Pain, fear, religion, parents. But the truth is, the real answer is never simple. Because for some of us, life itself already carved enough marks on our bodies and on our souls. I've seen skin change color without ink. I've seen veins turn blue, then disappear under needles. I've seen scars grow where hope once lived. When you've watched a body fight for survival, you stop romanticizing pain. People think tattoos are about bravery. But bravery isn't sitting still for a needle you chose. Bravery is lying on a hospital bed while your body is being attacked by something you never invited. Cancer doesn't ask permission. It doesn't care about your age, your dreams, or your plans. It doesn't give you a countdown. One day you're normal. The next day you're learning new words like biopsy, chemotherapy, radiation, remission. I remember a man who loved tattoos. His arms were a gallery of stories. Lions, clocks, names, dates. But when cancer came, none of those stories could protect him. The same arms that once showed strength now carried IV lines. The same skin that once held art now struggled to heal. People don't talk about this part. How sickness teaches you a different respect for your body. When you've watched hair fall not because of style, but because of treatment, you stop seeing the body as a canvas. You start seeing it as a battlefield. Some people get tattoos to remember moments. Others get them to feel control. But illness teaches you the hardest lesson of all. Control is an illusion. Cancer humbles you. Not softly, violently. It forces you to understand that your body is not just yours. It's fragile, borrowed, temporary. I've seen mothers touch their scars and cry, not because they were ugly, but because those scars meant they survived. Survival marks don't need ink. They live deeper. People say tattoos tell stories. But sickness writes chapters you never wanted to read. I've seen teenagers learn mortality before love. I've seen fathers pretend to be strong while quietly Googling survival rates at 3 a.m. I've seen families smile in front of patients, then break in hospital corridors. You don't need a tattoo to remember moments like that. They never leave you. Some people say, life is short, get the tattoo. But illness teaches you something sharper. Life is short, respect the body carrying it. There is a different kind of pain than a needle. The pain of waiting for test results. The pain of hearing, we caught it late. The pain of watching someone lose weight, strength, identity. When you've lived near cancer, your relationship with pain changes. You stop chasing it for aesthetics. You start avoiding it for survival. People who don't get tattoos are often misunderstood. They're called boring, fearful, closed-minded, but many of them carry invisible scars. Scars from hospital rooms that smelled like disinfectant and fear. Scars from nights spent praying instead of sleeping. Scars from holding hands that grew colder. Some bodies are not blank canvases. They are history books. And history deserves respect. I've seen people promise tattoos when they survive cancer. And I've seen others remove them because their skin could no longer handle trauma. Illness teaches you that the body remembers everything. Every cut, every burn, every chemical. You start treating it gently, like something sacred. Not everyone who avoids tattoos is against art. Some are just deeply in love with survival. They've seen how fast a body can betray itself, how quickly normal becomes fragile. Cancer doesn't care how strong you think you are. It reduces everyone to the same position. Waiting for results. waiting for recovery, waiting for miracles. And when you survive, you don't want to challenge the body again unless necessary. People decorate walls. Some decorate skin. Others protect it. None are wrong. But don't judge silence. Because sometimes, not getting a tattoo is not a choice made from fear. It's a choice made from respect. Respect for a body that fought wars you'll never see. Respect for skin that healed when it didn't have to. Respect for life that almost slipped away. If you've never sat in an oncology ward, you might never understand this mindset. If you've never heard the word malignant attached to someone you love, you might never feel this caution. Tattoos fade. Scars don't. Memories don't. Loss doesn't. Some people wear their stories in ink. Others carry them in silence. And both are valid. So the next time you ask someone, "Why don't you get a tattoo?" remember, maybe their body already survived enough pain to last a lifetime. There is a moment no one prepares you for. A moment when you stop seeing your body as something decorative and start seeing it as something that needs protection. It usually comes quietly. A doctor clearing their throat. A pause that lasts a second too long. A sentence that changes everything. That's when the idea of permanence feels different. Ink is permanent, but so is trauma. So is fear. So is the memory of a body slowly turning against itself. People who haven't lived near sickness talk about tattoos like trophies, like proof of fearlessness. But illness teaches you that fear is not weakness. Fear is information. Cancer teaches you to listen. It teaches you that the skin is not just skin. It's a shield. And when that shield is broken, everything hurts more. Some nights the hospital lights never turn off. Machines beep like a countdown you didn't ask for. And you sit there, staring at a body you love, wondering how something invisible can be so powerful. That's when you realize, pain doesn't need a needle to leave a mark. Chemotherapy burns from the inside. Radiation doesn't ask where it's welcome. Surgeries don't care about symmetry or beauty. After that, the idea of choosing pain for aesthetics feels strange. Almost disrespectful. People say tattoos are self-expression. But sickness takes away expression entirely. It reduces you to numbers, counts, levels, stages. Stage 1, Stage 2, Stage 3, Stage 4. No art, no poetry, just survival. When you've seen skin blister from treatment, when you've seen veins collapse, when you've seen scars that were never meant to be beautiful, you learn a different language of respect. You stop asking, "How do I look?" You start asking, "Will this heal?" Some people don't get tattoos because they're afraid of pain. Others don't get tattoos because they've already had more pain than they ever deserved. There's a difference. Cancer doesn't just attack the body. It attacks identity. Hair falls. Weight disappears. Strength fades. You don't recognize yourself in mirrors anymore. And that's when you realize, your body is not a canvas. It's a home. And homes deserve care, not experiments. I've seen survivors touch their skin like it's glass. Gently, carefully, as if one wrong move might break everything again. They don't want ink. They want peace. People talk about tattoos being memories. But illness rewires memory itself. You don't forget hospital smells. You don't forget the sound of wheels on hospital floors at midnight. You don't forget how silence feels when test results take too long. Those memories don't need symbols. They are already carved into the nervous system. Some people avoid tattoos because their bodies already lost the right to choice once. Needles were forced. Pain was mandatory. Consent was irrelevant. After that, saying no becomes power. Cancer teaches boundaries. Harsh ones. It teaches you that your body doesn't exist for entertainment. Not for trends. Not for validation. Not for likes. It exists to keep you alive. And once you almost lose that, everything else feels secondary. There's also guilt. Survivor's guilt. The quiet kind. When you live, and others don't. How do you celebrate skin when someone else never got the chance to grow old in theirs? How do you decorate life when you've buried people who wanted nothing more than another year? Some people don't get tattoos because they don't want reminders etched permanently. They're already carrying enough. Illness ages you in ways time never could. It steals innocence. It replaces optimism with realism. You become careful. Not weak. Careful. You start choosing rest over rebellion. Health over expression. Life over symbols. People say it's just ink. But sickness teaches you that nothing done to the body is ever just anything. The body remembers. It remembers trauma. It remembers stress. It remembers survival. And for some of us, keeping skin untouched is not emptiness. It's gratitude. Gratitude for waking up. For breathing without machines. For walking without pain. You don't need art when existence itself feels miraculous. There's a quiet dignity in choosing nothing. In leaving skin as it is. In saying, this body has been through enough. Not everyone who avoids tattoos is conservative. Some are exhausted. Some are healing. Some are protecting a body that once almost gave up. And that deserves respect. Because when you face cancer, when you've lived in hospital time, you don't chase permanence anymore. You chase peace. Cancer doesn't arrive like a storm. It arrives like a whisper. At first, it's just tiredness. A pain you ignore. A lump you don't want to name. And then suddenly, your entire life is measured in appointments. When you've watched cancer up close, you stop glorifying anything that hurts the body. Because cancer is pain that never asks if you're ready. I've seen strong people cry in silence, not because they were dying, but because they didn't want to scare the ones they loved. I've seen hands shaking while signing consent forms. Forms that allow strangers to cut, burn, poison a body. All in the hope of survival. That changes you. That rewires how you see skin. People talk about tattoos as identity. But cancer strips identity layer by layer. First, it takes energy. Then appetite. Then hair. Then confidence. Until one day, you don't recognize the person sitting in front of you. That's when you realize your body is not something you own. It's something you are temporarily trusted with. Cancer patients don't choose needles. They endure them. Day after day. Injection after injection. Scan after scan. When you've seen someone flinch every time a needle comes close, you stop calling tattoos no big deal. Some bodies associate needles with survival, not art. Chemotherapy doesn't just attack cancer. It attacks dignity. Vomiting in silence. Weakness you can't hide. A mirror that feels like an enemy. You don't decorate a battlefield. You protect it. People who don't get tattoos often carry this unspoken truth. Their skin has already been invaded. Cancer doesn't leave when treatment ends. It stays in the mind. Every ache becomes suspicious. Every pain triggers fear. Every test result holds your breath hostage. Living like that teaches humility. You become gentle with your body. You forgive it. You stop demanding things from it. No more prove strength. No more handle pain. Just survive. Some people survive cancer and say, "I want a tattoo to celebrate life." Others survive and say nothing at all, because celebration feels disrespectful to the ones who didn't make it. Both responses are born from trauma, but silence is often misunderstood. Not getting a tattoo doesn't mean emptiness. It often means remembrance. Remembering hospital corridors. Remembering the smell of antiseptic. Remembering how time slows down when you're waiting to hear if it spread. Cancer teaches you that the body can betray you without warning. So you stop provoking it. You stop experimenting with it. Because once you've begged your body to heal, you don't challenge it again. Some scars are not visible. They live in flinches, in pauses, in the way someone avoids pain, even when it's optional. People who haven't lived through cancer don't understand this kind of restraint. They see tattoos as freedom. Survivors see restraint as freedom. Freedom from more pain. Freedom from more trauma. Freedom from reminders. Cancer turns the body into a fragile promise. And promises are handled carefully. I've seen survivors touch their skin and whisper gratitude. Not because it's beautiful, but because it still exists. When your body almost kills you, loving it becomes an act of forgiveness. And forgiveness doesn't need ink. Some people don't get tattoos because they don't want permanent reminders on a body that already remembers too much. They don't want to mark survival. They want to live quietly beyond it. Because cancer doesn't end when treatment ends. It echoes. And for some of us, peace means leaving the skin untouched. Not because we fear pain, but because we respect the body that endured more pain than most people will ever understand. There is a sound people never forget. The sound of a doctor saying, "We need to talk." Not loud, not dramatic, just quiet enough to destroy you. Cancer enters, lives through silence. And once it enters, nothing is ever innocent again. A headache is no longer just a headache. A cough is no longer just a cough. Pain is no longer temporary in your mind. It becomes a question, a thread, a memory trying to come back. When you've lived with that fear, you don't flirt with pain anymore. I've seen people apologize to their own bodies for smoking, for ignoring symptoms, for pushing too hard. I've seen grown adults cry like children and whisper, "I promise I'll take care of you, just please don't give up." That changes how you see skin forever. Tattoos are about permanence. Cancer teaches impermanence. Cancer teaches you that nothing lasts. Not strength, not beauty, not time. Only love lasts. And even that, sometimes doesn't survive. I've seen people lose someone slowly, day by day. Hair first, then appetite, then voice, then light in the eyes. You watch a person fade while still breathing, and you learn the cruelest lesson of all. You can lose someone before they're gone. When you've held a hand that's shaking from chemo, you stop thinking pain is romantic. That hand didn't ask for needles, didn't ask for scars, didn't ask for this fight. It was forced into it. Some people don't get tattoos because their bodies were already forced to endure too much without consent. Cancer steals choice. You don't choose when treatment starts. You don't choose how your body reacts. You don't choose who survives. Choice becomes sacred after that. Saying no becomes healing. I've seen survivors stand in front of mirrors and cry. Not because they looked bad, but because they looked unfamiliar. A body they didn't recognize. A body that betrayed them. A body that also saved them. How do you decorate something you're still trying to forgive? Cancer creates a strange relationship between love and resentment. You love your body for surviving. You resent it for failing. And that conflict lives deep. Some people say, if I beat cancer, I'll get a tattoo. Others beat cancer and never touch a needle again. Because every needle reminds them of fear. Every puncture reminds them of nights they thought they wouldn't wake up. Trauma doesn't fade when treatment ends. It just learns to stay quiet. People think survival is the happy ending. They don't talk about what comes after. The fear that never leaves. The scans you'll need forever. The way your heart races every time the phone rings. You live, but part of you is always waiting for bad news. In that state, peace becomes everything. Some people protect their skin like they protect their sanity. They don't want reminders. They don't want symbols. They don't want questions. They just want normal. Cancer takes normal away once. You don't want to invite it back in any form. I've seen people cry over losing hair more than losing jobs. Because hair made them feel human. Made them feel seen. When cancer strips you down to survival, you learn that the body is not decoration. It's a miracle holding on. So when someone says, "Why don't you get a tattoo?" they don't hear the real answer. The real answer is, I've already buried enough versions of myself. The real answer is, my body already knows pain too well. The real answer is, I'm still healing. Some people carry memories so heavy. They don't want them written anywhere visible. They don't want strangers asking questions they're still answering themselves. Cancer survivors often learn to love quietly. No announcements. No symbols. No ink. Just gratitude for waking up another day. Because when you've almost lost life, you stop trying to mark it. You just hold it. And sometimes, not getting a tattoo is the deepest act of self-love there is. Life doesn't wait for healing. It doesn't pause for cancer. It doesn't care about losses, heartbreaks, or broken dreams. I've seen women lie in hospital beds fighting cancer while their hearts were already shattered from divorce. A body under attack. A life under attack. Love taken away before it even had a chance to heal. Divorce teaches pain differently. It doesn't burn like chemo. It doesn't numb like medication. It cuts quietly, invisibly, leaving marks in the soul that no medicine can touch. Some people think surviving cancer is the hardest fight. But try surviving betrayal. Try surviving love that promised forever and left you alone. Imagine lying in a bed, needles in your arms, hearing the words, "It's malignant." And the same week, someone you trusted to stand beside you leaves. Your body fights cancer. Your mind fights loneliness. And your heart fights grief. There's no tattoo that can show the weight of that combination. No ink that can hold the memory of nights spent crying under fluorescent lights. Holding your own hand because no one else would. I've met women who lost marriages because illness revealed weaknesses. Because fear and pain and sleepless nights tested relationships no one was ready for. And suddenly, your body isn't just a survivor, it's a witness. Witness to heartbreak. Witness to betrayal. Witness to your own endurance. People ask, why not a tattoo? They don't realize some bodies are already full of stories too heavy to decorate. Some scars are invisible. They live in quiet moments. In the way she hesitates before picking up the phone. In the way she avoids mirrors because she's not ready to recognize herself yet. Cancer takes strength. Divorce takes trust. And sometimes, what's left is fragile enough that even a needle feels like too much. You start measuring survival differently. Not by days or months, but by mornings you can get out of bed without feeling broken. Some women survive chemotherapy and the betrayal of someone who promised love. Some women survive both, and instead of tattoos, they embrace silence as a symbol of endurance, because life has already marked them. With loss, with grief, with strength they never knew they had. Some people get tattoos to celebrate. Others survive cancer and heartbreak and choose no tattoo. Not because they're empty, not because they're weak, but because their skin has already endured enough pain without embellishment. And sometimes the deepest act of self-love is leaving the skin untouched, healing the soul first, protecting what remains of you from more marks, more reminders, more questions. Because surviving cancer and divorce teaches you that life is not about decoration. It's about endurance. It's about breathing when everything inside screams stop. It's about holding yourself when no one else will. And in that quiet strength, there is a beauty deeper than any ink could ever capture. Some people also ask, why don't you get a tattoo? And in my culture, in Islam, there's more than just personal choice behind that question. The Quran teaches respect for the body as a gift from Allah. It's not something to harm or permanently alter for vanity. The Prophet _FDFA also warned against changing the creation of Allah without necessity. For many Muslims, tattoos are not just cosmetic. They cross a line between respect and alteration of what was entrusted to us. And when you've survived cancer, when your body has already been under attack, the idea of intentionally marking it becomes even heavier. Some see tattoos as art. Some see tattoos as identity. But faith reminds us that our body is sacred. A trust from God, not a canvas for permanent decoration. When illness hits, when cancer attacks, when needles pierce without choice, you realize the truth of that teaching. Your body has already endured enough. Your skin tells a story without ink. It shows survival, resilience, and pain. It carries scars that cannot lie. Some people survive divorce, betrayal, and heartbreak, and their bodies already bear the marks of stress, sleepless nights, and tears. Why add more? Why make permanent marks when life has already written its chapters in deeper ways? Faith teaches patience. It teaches gratitude. It teaches acceptance. And in that acceptance, even scars and illness become sacred reminders of endurance. Some Muslims don't get tattoos because their body is a trust. Some don't get tattoos because their soul is still healing from cancer, loss, divorce, and betrayal. And some don't get tattoos because faith teaches that the most meaningful marks are invisible. Invisible scars of courage. Invisible scars of survival. Invisible scars of loving, losing, and rising again. And when you combine survival with belief, you understand why tattoos are never necessary. Because every scar, every healed wound, every tear shed quietly in the night is already a living testimony. Some people decorate their bodies to show the world they lived. Some Muslims, some survivors, some divorced fighters, some cancer warriors don't need ink to tell the story. Their story is written in the resilience of their hearts, the healing of their bodies, and the whispers of faith guiding them through every pain. Because faith, survival, and life's lessons leave the deepest marks. Marks no needle, no ink could ever replicate. Some nights the quiet becomes unbearable. The house is empty. The mind is loud. The heart is heavy. After cancer, you're grateful to be alive. After divorce, you're grateful to still have a heartbeat. But gratitude is complicated. It comes with pain. It comes with longing. It comes with memories you cannot erase. You lie awake, remembering hospital corridors, the sterile smell, the beeping machines, and the faces of people who didn't survive. Then you remember the silence of divorce, the sudden emptiness, the unspoken words, the absence of someone who promised forever. Some people get tattoos to mark survival. But faith and experience teach you otherwise. Your body is already a witness. Your skin is already full of stories that no ink can capture. When you've survived cancer, you understand that permanence is fragile. Life can take everything away in a heartbeat. Why mark your body when life itself has already written the most permanent stories? Islam teaches respect for the body as a gift from Allah. Every scar, every mark, every healed wound is part of that trust. Some scars are invisible, etched in the heart, in the soul, in the quiet strength of surviving. I've seen women cry in hospital beds, alone, mourning not just cancer, but lost marriages, lost trust, lost futures. And yet they rise, day after day, breathing healing, moving forward. Some people avoid tattoos because they fear needles. Some avoid them because of faith. Some avoid them because their bodies have already endured too much. And some avoid them because they've learned that survival itself is the greatest story. Cancer teaches patience. Divorce teaches resilience. Faith teaches surrender. And together they teach wisdom. You learn that life is not about decorating yourself for others. It's about protecting the temple that holds your spirit. It's about honoring the battles fought silently, in ways no one else can see. There's a strange beauty in untouched skin, a sacred dignity in scars that are yours and yours alone. They are proof of what you've endured, proof of nights spent praying, proof of mornings you woke despite fear, proof of a body and soul that refused to give up. Some people see tattoos as courage, but survivors of cancer and divorce understand that courage is quiet. Courage is enduring what you never asked for. Courage is holding yourself together when the world falls apart. You don't need ink to show bravery. Your resilience shows it every day. Your faith shows it every day. Your survival shows it every day. And when people ask, why don't you get a tattoo? The answer is simple, even if it's hard to explain. My body has already fought battles I cannot erase. My scars tell the story better than ink ever could. I honor my body, my faith, and my survival by leaving it whole. Every healed wound, every tear, every breath is my living testimony. Because some stories are too sacred for ink. Some victories are too profound to be drawn on skin. Some pain is too deep, and some resilience is too precious. And for those who have walked through cancer, who have felt the heartbreak of divorce, who have lived, survived, and kept faith alive, silence, gratitude, and healing are more powerful than any needle could ever be. In the Bible, tattoos are also addressed. In Leviticus 19:28 it says, "Do not cut your bodies for the dead or put tattoo marks on yourselves. I am the Lord." This verse is often interpreted by many Christians as a warning against permanently marking the body with tattoos. The reasoning is similar to the Islamic perspective. The body is considered sacred, created by God, and not meant to be altered permanently for vanity, grief, or decoration. So in both faiths, there's a deep respect for the body as a gift and a trust from God. It is not a canvas to change lightly, because it is something sacred. I can continue your voiceover script, weaving this in seamlessly with the emotional, cancer, and divorce story. Some people ask, why don't you get a tattoo? And faith teaches us the answer in ways that go deeper than fear or pain. In Islam, your body is a trust from Allah, a gift not to be altered unnecessarily. In the Bible, God says in Leviticus, "Do not put tattoo marks on yourselves. I am the Lord." Both teachings remind us that the body is sacred, that scars, wounds, and survival are enough to tell your story. When you've survived cancer, when you've felt the heartbreak of divorce, you realize these lessons are more than rules, they are wisdom. Your body has already been written on by life itself. By pain you never asked for. By needles you never wanted. By nights spent crying quietly, praying for just one more day. To tattoo your body after all this feels unnecessary. Not because tattoos are wrong. Not because art is evil. But because your skin has already endured stories far more permanent than ink could ever hold. Faith teaches patience, respect, and gratitude. Cancer teaches resilience. Divorce teaches endurance. And together, they teach that some stories are too sacred to mark externally. Some scars are meant to be carried silently. Some victories are meant to live inside the heart, not on the skin. Some people think surviving cancer is the hardest battle. Some think divorce is the deepest wound. But when you face both, when life strips you down completely, you learn that the body, the heart, and the soul are all fragile, yet unbreakable. Your body has already endured pain it never asked for. Chemotherapy, radiation, surgeries, needles and scars marking survival. Your mind has endured loneliness, betrayal, and the silence of a partner leaving in the middle of your fight. And your heart has endured grief and fear endlessly. Faith becomes the anchor. Islam teaches respect for the body as a gift from Allah. The Bible reminds you not to mark yourself unnecessarily because the body is sacred. Both tell the same truth. Survival, healing, and gratitude are more powerful than decoration. Some people get tattoos to show the world they survived. Some survivors choose not to. Not because they fear pain. Not because they're empty. But because their skin has already been written on by life itself. Every scar is a verse. Every healed wound is a chapter. Every tear shed quietly at night is a testimony. When you've lived in the quiet halls of hospitals, when you've watched machines beep like countdowns, when you've held hands with people who would not wake up the next day, you learn that courage is not flashy. It's silent. It's invisible. It's the strength to survive every day when the world has already given you every reason to fall. Divorce adds a new layer of pain. Love taken away when your heart already hurt from illness. Trust broken when you need it the most. Homes emptied of warmth and laughter, replaced by silence. Some nights the weight feels unbearable. And yet the survivors rise. Quietly, faithfully, with resilience no ink could ever show. Some people ask, why don't you get a tattoo? The answer is simple, though they may never understand. My body has survived what words cannot describe. My soul has endured what no art could capture. My faith reminds me this body is a gift, not a canvas. Every scar, every line, every healed wound is enough to tell my story. Tattoos are permanent, but life's trials are more permanent. Cancer marks you. Loss marks you. Heartbreak marks you. Faith teaches you how to carry those marks without shame. Some scars are invisible. They live in quiet moments, in hesitant glances, in the careful way survivors move through life. Faith, survival, and resilience leave the deepest marks. Not ink, not paint, not designs anyone else can see. They leave strength, courage, and quiet dignity. They leave gratitude for waking up, for breathing, for surviving another day. And that is why some people don't get tattoos. Not because they fear the needle. Not because they reject art. But because their body, heart, and soul have already endured enough. Because sometimes the deepest expression of survival is silence. The body untouched. The scars private. The story sacred. After surviving cancer, after enduring divorce, after carrying scars that no one else can see. Life does not suddenly become easy. It becomes a test of endurance, of patience, of faith. You wake up each morning and feel the weight of the past still clinging to you. The hospital smells still linger in your memory. The sound of machines, the quiet beeping, the whispered prayers at 3 a.m., they all remain. And the absence of someone who promised forever, the emptiness of a home once filled with laughter, that remains too. But slowly, almost imperceptibly, healing begins. Not with ink, not with decoration, but with small acts, a deep breath, a prayer, a walk in sunlight, a kind word to yourself. Faith guides you. Islam reminds you to honor the body Allah entrusted to you. The Bible reminds you that your body is sacred, not to be altered unnecessarily. And you begin to understand, survival itself is art. It is sacred. It is enough. People will never see the nights you cried alone. The nights you whispered, "Please let me survive one more day." The nights you held your body and begged it to keep going. They will never see the courage it took to sit through chemotherapy, to endure the pain, to fight your own despair, to rebuild a life after betrayal. And that is why tattoos are unnecessary. Not because beauty is forbidden, not because art is wrong, but because the deepest marks are already etched in your being. You rebuild slowly. A step forward one day, a pause the next. You learn to trust again, not easily, not blindly, but carefully. You learn that love may return, but it must be nurtured with caution. You learn that friendships, laughter, and faith are the new treasures. The world may not see the strength it takes to survive and keep going. They may judge the untouched skin as plain, as boring. But you know the truth. Your skin tells a story no one else could ever tell. Your scars, your survival, your faith, they are already permanent. Some people rebuild with tattoos. Some rebuild in silence. Some rebuild with prayer. Some rebuild with quiet, private strength. And for those who walk this path, the quiet survivors, the believers, the warriors of life, faith and resilience are the ultimate marks of courage. Because the body has already been a battlefield. The heart has already been broken. The soul has already been tested. And every day you rise is proof. Every healed wound, every morning you open your eyes, every prayer whispered quietly. That is the story. Some scars are invisible. Some victories are silent. Some courage is uncelebrated. And yet it shines brighter than any tattoo could. Because surviving cancer, enduring divorce, navigating life's harshest trials, and keeping faith, that is the truest art. That is the deepest courage. That is the story worth telling. Rebuilding life after cancer and divorce is not just physical. It's emotional. It's spiritual. It's learning to trust a world that has already shown you how cruel it can be. People look at survivors and see strength. They see courage. They see someone who made it through. But they rarely see the quiet suffering. The nights spent staring at the ceiling, wondering if the pain will ever end. The mornings waking up to emptiness, where once there was a partner's warmth. The silence that answers every question about the future. Social stigma doesn't help. Divorced women, cancer survivors, society whispers that they are broken, that they are less, that they are no longer whole. And yet they rise. Every day. Not for applause, not for recognition, but because life demands it, because faith guides it. Islam teaches patience, humility, and respect for the body. The Quran reminds you that Allah watches over every hardship. The Bible teaches that the body is sacred, that suffering has purpose, and that endurance is holy. And slowly the survivor learns. The body has already been a battlefield. The heart has already been shattered. The soul has already endured storms that no one else could survive. So the question of tattoos becomes small, insignificant, because every scar, every healed wound, every tear already tells the story. The world may not see it. Strangers may not understand it. But the survivor knows. They know what it is to lie awake, trembling and pray for life. They know what it is to forgive a body that almost betrayed them. They know what it is to forgive a partner who left when loyalty was needed most. They know what it is to rebuild a home from emptiness, to rebuild a heart from betrayal, to rebuild faith from despair. Every act of survival becomes sacred. Every small victory, a testament. Every quiet moment, a miracle. Some people choose tattoos to tell stories. Some survivors choose silence. Some choose faith. Some choose private strength. And those choices are valid. Because surviving cancer and divorce, carrying scars of betrayal, enduring social judgment, that is already a lifetime of storytelling. Every morning, the survivor wakes is a victory. Every meal eaten is a triumph. Every smile forced through pain is proof of courage. And every prayer whispered, every quiet act of self-care, every moment of faith, is the deepest mark of all. Some scars are invisible. Some victories are silent. Some courage cannot be captured by ink. But it is real. It is permanent. It is sacred. And now, after all the battles, after the cancer, after the divorce, after the nights spent alone in quiet despair, there comes a moment of understanding. A moment when the survivor realizes that life does not measure courage by decoration, by tattoos, or by outward appearances. Life measures courage by endurance, by the ability to keep breathing when everything inside screams to stop, by the strength to forgive a body that almost failed you and a heart that was broken. Faith teaches that every scar, every wound, every tear is sacred. Islam teaches respect for the body entrusted by Allah. The Bible teaches that the body is holy and suffering has meaning. And so the survivor rises, not for anyone else but for themselves. They rise every morning with gratitude for another day. They smile quietly, knowing that survival itself is art. They carry their invisible scars like medals. They walk through the world with dignity that no tattoo could ever give. Some stories are too sacred for ink. Some victories are too profound for display. Some pain is too deep to be told aloud. And in that silence, that sacred quiet, life whispers its truth. You have survived. You have endured. You are whole again. No needle, no design, no external mark could ever capture the depth of your journey. Faith, resilience, courage, and love, these are the marks that last forever. And as the world keeps turning, and life continues its unpredictable path, the survivor knows one thing for certain. The body, the heart, and the soul have endured. They have been tested, and they have triumphed. And that triumph is the most beautiful, permanent story of all.